Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Win with Armagh Club Focus podcasts. We're going around different clubs and hearing the history and everything else that goes along with it. We're in Crossmaglen this morning, and I'm delighted to be joined by Eddie Hughes and Cian McConville, and we're going to chat through all things Crossmaglen and Armagh as well. Eddie, I suppose I'll come to you first. If you could just give us a run through of the history of the club and everything that comes with it.
Well, I suppose the brief history of the club is very difficult because of the nature of it. I suppose the club was first affiliated in 1887 in Torres, and I suppose our first name was known as Crossmaglen Red Hands of Ulster. And as most clubs at that time, names changed for all various reasons. We didn't really become Crossmaglen Rangers until 1909. And then from that, probably 1911 to 13, we had our first three in a row. And then perhaps the only decade that we never won a championship was in the 1950s through our 120 years affiliation. It's the only decade that we never won. 77 probably was a very historic year for us in the sense that we won 3 championships in a row, minor, under 21 and senior. Probably should have won the junior too. In that year was also very historic in that the late Monsignor Tomás became Archbishop of Armagh and Primate of All Ireland. Armagh obviously got to the All Ireland final for the second time, and we had 4 representatives on that team. James Kiernan won the Aggie Khan Cup that same year. Con Short became president of the Ulster Council, and John O'Reilly became chairman of the county board, and Jean Larkin became chairman of the league board. So 77 was a very momentous year for us. I suppose if we go back up to move on further to the 90s, obviously from 96 onwards, which is almost 30 years now, we have won 23 championships in that time, which is unbelievable, and 11 Ulster titles and 6 All-Irelands, which is phenomenal. So we've had good days and bad days. I suppose I should have mentioned in 26 probably Armagh won the first All-Ireland in 1926, which was also captained by a Crossmaglen man, Eugene Hannerty. And the 20s, if we go back to the 20s probably was the first time any club ever done 5 in a row. We done 5 in a row championships in 1920, and as I said, 1926, Armagh won the junior All-Ireland championship. Also in 1929 was a very sad year for us because James Kiernan was killed after an accident. He was playing for Armagh against Cavan, and he died as a result of his injuries. I think it was probably in about a week after. So the club has lots of history, so it's very difficult to sum it up in a very short space of time. 94 obviously was another momentous year for us because that was the year that we had decided to start developing. It was the IRA ceasefire was imminent at that stage, so we decided that we would start to develop. Previous to that, our development was curtailed because of the occupation of the grounds. Every time we applied for planning permission to do works, the British Army would put impediments on the planning permission. Particularly, they wanted to control the lights on the grounds, which was something that we could never agree to. Obviously, if you had 2 teams out playing on a pitch, and if there was an attack in the barracks, that they could just throw the lights and leave everybody in the dark. So that was something that we couldn't agree to. But with the ceasefires in 94, we started development. And we needed that development because when this place was originally bought, prior to that, you just played whatever farmer's field you could get. In 1947, that was the year of the big snow. I'm sure we're all too young to remember that one. I think it snowed until April or May that year. But Paddy Cumsky, who lived on the Cullerville Road, he held many positions within the club. Paddy was going from the Culville Road to Dundalk Road here, and he was taking a shortcut. And at that time, the fields up here, there was maybe 5 or 6 different small fields with different connotations and levels or whatever. But the whole thing was all level with the snow. And Paddy envisaged that this could be a home for the Rangers. And it was bought off Joe Fitzpatrick at the time, I think, for £1,200 or something like that. And at the start of the development, actually, when Armagh was coming from the All-Ireland in 1953, they came here. The hall was just about finished at that time. This hall that we're in here at the minute, even up to the windsill height there, still remains old bricks that was taken from American Army Nissen huts in 1950. They enhanced them. They went from here down with a lorry and demolished it and took them back up here and rebuilt it. And the tin roof was the same. It all came from the Army Nissen huts. But in 1994 then we developed here, and it went on from there then. So we are where we are now, and we put a lot of that behind us. Certainly put the bad bits behind us anyway.
And Eddie, what's your earliest memory of the club?
Probably the tournaments here, which again were in a precarious times also in the 1960s. The Bother campaign had been going on in the 50s, and the borders were all spiked at that time, so you couldn't get from north to south. You had to go round and go through customs at that time. You had to be stamped in and stamped out and all of that sort of thing. And that was the era of the great tournaments. And people would come to the border and they had to get off their bikes or get out of some who was lucky enough that had vehicles, had to get out of them, and then they had to walk into the town or whatever. But those that had bikes could get through. There was just enough room to get through them, so they could get through them and then cycle on. But the tournaments here were great tournaments at that time. Like, that was my earliest memory. You get teams from Enniskeane and Ballybay and Scotstown, that they all came here at that time to play in the tournaments, and that's my earliest memory.
And Cian, what's your earliest memory? Obviously a bit later than Eddie.
Yeah, I wouldn't have the knowledge Eddie has on the history there. Some great knowledge there, but probably my earliest memory, I would say, is some of the All-Ireland successes we've had in the club. So between my dad taking us to games and stuff and all over the country, like I can remember being down in Portlaoise for All-Ireland semi-finals and then on to Croke Park for All-Ireland finals. So I would say probably the successes around 2006, 2007 would be some of my earliest memories.
That run, Eddie, from 96 to 2015, that Cross win every county championship bar one. Is
Pearse Oaks in 09. Never forget it.
But it's an unprecedented level of success and range of a couple of different teams coming along to win championships there.
I think there was only one other team, I think it was the Galway team that actually had done 13 in a row. So we equalled it and we were trying to better it, but obviously we fell short against Pearse Oaks. But some great. Cian mentioned it there. His first memory, I think that it was a semi-final in Portlaoise. Was it against Lawn Rangers? My memory, that was one of the best games of all the games that we played. That was one of the best games and one of the best wins we ever had. Lawn Rangers were reigning All-Ireland champions, and they came very fancied. And I mind talking at a function one night, talking to the late Michael O'Mara, and we were talking about the game, and he said he fancied Lawn Rangers greatly because Timmy Fleming was coming back from injury. He hadn't played from the club final the year before, but he was coming back from injury. But he said he's as fit as a fiddle. He says he's running up and down mountains after sheep and all that. So needless to say, I disagreed with Michael on what the outcome, and lucky enough, we got the right side of it.
And Cian, I know you don't remember, obviously, your dad winning the All-Ireland captain in All-Ireland in 97, but to have that honour in your household, and I'm sure he maybe reminds you about it every now and then, does he?
Of course, yeah. He's still, the famous story is 2000. I was actually born the day Cross won the All-Ireland 2000, so He actually ended up, so he says he broke his ankle that day, so he ended up in Daisy Hill. Well, my mother was in Daisy Hill with me, so that's always the story. And then everyone I meet in the town says, geez, I remember the day you were born. So it's a good story to have and sort of brings back plenty of memories for people.
And obviously you have a dad that has captained the club to an All-Ireland title, and an uncle as well. Like, and there's not many clubs in Ireland, I would imagine, that have two brothers that have captained their club to All-Ireland titles.
Yeah, it's a nice feat to have in the household. Like, it's a very proud household, as you know, for football. So yeah, we keep all those memories close, and plenty of different photo frames and stuff around all the McConville households. So yeah, it's nice memories to have.
And Eddie, I suppose it all starts in '96, that historic run, and obviously Joe Kiernan has such a big part to play, and the same again in 2002 with Armagh.
Yeah.
And I know I was up here last year for, or 2 years ago maybe, for Francie Bellew's tribute night, and you've seen the amount of Crossmaglen representatives that were on that '02 team.
Yeah.
And I suppose Crossmaglen's success fed into Armagh's All-Ireland win in 2002.
Yeah, well, I think in fairness, probably that would have been a fair consensus of opinion in that, you know, the two brains had managed the team and were very unlucky, done great work and prepared that team to win an Ulster Championship, I think, in '99. And were very unlucky they didn't go on and win an All-Ireland, but they had prepared that team. And 2002, obviously, it all came together when Joe joined the management. We were very lucky. I think we had 7 players on that team, so it was a great benefit. And I think it would be true to say that Armagh did feed off that success of the club here, like winning the All-Ireland in '77 and going on then in '99, won in '99 and 2000 also. So that was a good boost to the county, and it brought that confidence. Like, we had 7 representatives on that team, like, and it brought that confidence to the panel. Like, these are winners. You know, these boys know how to win All-Ireland, albeit at a club level, but it still was a high level. Like, but that confidence was there then, and it grew from that. Like, you know.
Again, as you're growing up, you're watching these boys like Oisin McConville, the McEntees, you have Aaron Kiernan there, Francie Bellew, like Armagh legends, and you're coming to watch them playing club colours every Sunday. Like, it must have been brilliant for you to see them boys.
Yeah, like, it was tremendous. Like, there's so many people. Like, when you're young, you're looking up to people in your club, and to have so many leaders to look up to. You know, you're just spoiled for choice. You know, who's your favourite player? Was your pick from those bunch. So yeah, no, it's really good to have that amount of leaders in your club at one time. Like,
and obviously your Crossmaglen and Armagh team were sort of chasing that success now, and Armagh got there obviously last year, getting their hands on Sam again. What was that like? Did you ever, dreams come true, I suppose?
Yeah, dreams come true, exactly. Like, some of the older boys maybe would have memories of '02, the win there. Now, I was still young, so I would have no memories of it, but obviously then seeing the success with the club as well, even like that was one of the big driving forces for me in wanting to become a player for Cross and a player for Armagh then as well. So it's those, I think it's those early experiences you have watching football and going to games and seeing the losses and seeing the wins. That's what really, you know, gives you that motivation to want to do the same when you're at that level, at senior level.
And Eddie, 3 more All-Ireland medals coming into the club last year, and an All-Star as well. Rian O'Neill got an All-Star as well. Like, brilliant stuff from last year.
Yeah, and long may it continue. But it's interesting. I think maybe Cian are correct. I think Cian made his debut, I think, was it 2018, was it, as a very young minor?
With Cross,
yeah.
Yeah.
He came on probably and won the championship for us that year.
He did, yeah, before he played Ballymacnaghon.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great. Listen, success is a very funny thing, and it's very difficult to talk about success. You know, success means different things to different people, to different counties, to different clubs. You know, success here was winning a county championship. If you didn't win a county championship, you had no success. Didn't matter. You could win all the leagues you wanted to, but if you didn't win the championship, you had no success. Other clubs' success was putting a team out on a Sunday morning. You know, gathering up 15 players to go out and fly the flag and play the game. That was success to them. You know, so success is a funny thing. You know.
It's probably the same again every year that the club championship comes around. Crossmaglen are at the top of the favourites pile, and I'm not sure if that's inside the changing room. It's probably more outside that we be talking about it.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. Like, you can become victims of success, kind of. So our standard has been raised, you know, and then it's easy to fall short of your standards when they're high. But yeah, that's probably the main goal at the start of every year. Obviously, at the minute we're not county champions, so that's a big goal for us this year, is to probably go and get that mantle back for ourselves. So yeah, you'd be right in saying that is probably our main goal at the start of every year.
And obviously the underage structure, the Win with Armagh campaign at the minute, it's all about the future and generating, you know, for the generations that's coming behind us. And the project out at Malachy's, it's so important for people to get behind it, because we're trying to build for the future.
Absolutely. You know, like, that's what it's all about now. It's all about facilities, you know, and Armagh, in fairness, has been struggling with facility. Callanbridge has done its part, and it played its part. We won an All-Ireland out of it, and that was great. The new facility, I think it'd be remiss of me if I didn't mention Peter Murphy. The work that Peter Murphy has put into that facility to organise it, and I know he had good help and good professional help outside of that, helping him. But the work that he put in personally into this facility is unbelievable. We had a meeting on it there a fortnight ago, and there's 2 pitches now, just almost ready for playing. There's another one has been level and graded. It'll be ready for reseeding now probably in the springtime. There's a big building there, it's almost complete. It's going to be kitted out now. It'll be a temporary dressing rooms and that. The facility, it'll be a fantastic facility. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and hopefully it'll encourage and promote our games for years and years to come.
And Cian, you'll be happy to see the back of Callanbridge, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the dreaded Callanbridge for pre-season. That's what you're always worried about. But yeah, the new facilities it'll give us a push on, but it's more so leaving it in place for the next generation of Armagh footballers. Like, I'm sure there would have been young boys and girls sitting watching us last year winning the All-Ireland and thinking, I'd love to get to that level. So leaving these facilities in place for when they come along, that'll be sort of a big legacy we could leave behind too. Like.
So great stuff, man. Thanks very much. Thanks to Eddie and to Cian for giving us a brief history of Crossmaglen Rangers and what we can look forward to in the future as well with the Win with Armagh campaign. It's still going on, the house draw, and there's about a month left of it, so I encourage everybody to get behind it, get a ticket. They're only £20 and you could win the house in Uri. So we'll be back with another podcast, another club podcast, hopefully soon enough. So keep an eye out on all our social media channels on Win with Armagh GAA.